Is Gleyber Torres a problem? And again, every time I bring up questions or anything like that, this is not to hint at what my opinions are. This is kind of a topic that's been going around Yankees Twitter, even some of my other friends that are Yankee fans, hearing what they have to say. A lot of people are kind of getting fed up with Gleyber Torres, getting fed up with his lack of defense. And so usually he would make up his defense with some great offense. And that hasn't been great either. And immediately this reminds me, I've said kind of the same phrase with Gary Sanchez. Though I loved him, though he was a big fan favorite, the matter of the fact is that he had an amazing offense, not great defense, but his offense carried his defense. And then later towards the end of his Yankee tenure, his offense was also bad. And unfortunately, that's what it looks like we're seeing a little bit here with Gleyber. I'm not saying it's the same exact thing. I'm not saying that Gleyber isn't going to rebound. And just kind of to cut right into the chase, I don't think Gleyber is going to be a long-term problem for a couple of reasons. One, because we don't know if we're going to re-sign him, so we may have to deal with him too much more long-term. Secondly, he's on the upward trajectory. I know looking at his numbers right now, it doesn't look great, and I'll read them out right now. He, in 124 at-bats, he has 27 hits, 1 home run, 7 RBIs. Finally got his first home run, thank God, in the last game. That's good for an average of 218, which is not good. Not good. On-base percentage of below 300 at 295, and an OPS in the 500, which is that's just bad. That's not good. But that doesn't tell the whole story. Let's look at his trajectory, his progression as of late. So those are his stats right now with an average of 218. In the last 30 games, we've only had 32 games, but in the last 30 games, his average goes from 218 to 230. In the last 15 games, so we're narrowing down the amount of games to the most recent 15 games, it goes from a season 218 average all the way up to a 232 average. And then in just the last week, the last 7 games, which he hasn't had all 7 spectacular games. Some of them have been good, some of them have been bad. That brings up his average to 267. Again, not spectacular, not amazing, actually 260 is around where his career average is, I believe. He's hitting 260 in his last 7 games. But overall, what I want to look at is not that, how great 267 of a batting average is. With a 290 on-base percentage in the last 7 games as well is not great. With a slugging of 433, which is okay. We expect a little bit more, much more in certain areas. But the biggest thing here is that there's an upward trajectory. Upward progression. He's not continuing to struggle. He's not continuing to do bad. A lot of people have concerns with Aaron Judge because you don't see much of that upward trajectory. I feel like there is. He'll have some games of just him being Aaron Judge and getting home runs, and the next game getting a home run and a double and so on and so forth. But then he'll kind of come back down to earth, going 0 for 4. Gleyber, you're seeing a little bit more of an upward trajectory more than maybe what Aaron Judge is showing, hence why he has a higher, which doesn't say much, but a higher season average than Aaron Judge. And stat-wise, that's really about all he has on Aaron Judge. He is still striking out a decent bit, Gleyber Torres. But again, I'm just happy to see that the numbers are projecting upwards. If it was just stuck at this very low 100 to 200 batting average range, then I'll be really concerned. His on-base percentage isn't really progressing much, but his batting average is. So he's making more contact, which is good, getting more base hits. So that's good. I'm trying to be devil's advocate and give you guys both sides of a coin. But then you also have his defense, which no matter what year you look at, maybe there's only been 1 year that it's looked respectable. But outside of that, it hasn't been looking great. This year is no different. Hasn't been looking great. He has a .956 fielding percentage. And in his last 7, or in all of his 7 MLB seasons, that .956 fielding percentage ranks second to last behind the 2020 shortened season. And he also currently leads the team in errors with 5 errors. Now, when I had an episode, check that out on my channel, all about the Yankees' lack of defense and errors during one point of the season this year. Seems like everyone has tightened up on that. Rizzo hasn't had an error since, I believe. Cabrera maybe had at most one error. Same thing with Volpe. But Torres is still getting a handful of errors still. And he has a defensive run saved of -4, which ranks pretty low compared to his past seasons. And then he does have a +1 outs above average, which you have a positive defensive stat and a negative defensive stat. If you guys don't know what outs above average is, it's how many extra outs Gleyber Torres has been able to produce solely based on his range compared to the MLB average. And reading these stats, understanding these stats, kind of passes the eye test. We see many times Gleyber making great backhanded plays up the middle, but then maybe he can't complete it. Or maybe he does complete it. Or he gets to it, but then he bobbles it. And that's hence where the -4 defensive run saves comes from. When he comes to making double plays, we've seen him botch balls as well. Ground balls straight to him. Maybe hard hit, but still should be making those plays. He's not securing the ball or making a good throw to first. So he's maybe getting to them, but not completing the play, which is a huge, huge issue. Hence the 5 errors already this season. So considering all of this, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Hey, what's up, Donnie Clark? So glad to see you. It's been a while. Happy to see you chatting it up on X and stuff like that. Happy to see you here. Donnie Clark says Torres is a problem, and we should trade Torres and bring up Vivas. So I know Vivas, actually, I'm going to be going over all of our injuries. Hence, the last topic is talking about, is the roster enough? Because I'm going to be not just talking about our current roster, but our injured roster and everyone coming back, trying to figure out if that's enough to win a World Series. But so I totally forgot about Vivas, but he does have a fracture. I'm not sure how that's been coming along, so I know we can't call him up immediately, I don't think. I'll be surprised if he's already good to go and healed. I don't know, but I haven't heard any news from him, so I'm curious to know how he's doing on the injury front. But I know Vivas is ready to be called up to the MLB. Not sure how he'll do with Major League hitting. I'm curious about that. I don't know enough about Vivas outside of his spring training and outside of the trade, obviously, we made with him this offseason. But I'm not opposed to it as well. Donnie Clark continues to say Torres should be doing better, especially free agency coming. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You know, I was congratulating the Yankees on what was a solid, really solid offseason, and I thought that they were doing a great strategy of not extending their possible free agent players in 2025 because they figured that they would play really well with them in their walk season. You know, play with an edge, a chip on their shoulder, with Rizzo being a free agent, Clay Holmes being a free agent. Clay Holmes has been doing great. And we would have thought the same thing with Gleyber. It seems Gleyber right now is not handling the pressure well enough. I'm not sure. And again, I don't want to assume that his struggles are associated to his walk year, but we would think that there will be a better outcome than what's been given to us this year. So I'm really hoping that Gleyber could turn around, but it's not looking good. We do see a positive upward trajectory, but it doesn't look like he's going to have as good or even anywhere close to a better year than what he had last year. But we don't necessarily need him to have a better year than he had last year because, quite frankly, we have many other guys, most notably Soto, that's helping carrying this offense. So if Gleyber could just carry his weight and just play at least decent enough defense, which unfortunately seems too much to ask right now, then we'll be good. I don't think this is what the Gleyber that we've been seeing so far is not the Gleyber I think that we're going to continue to see. That much I'll say. So I do think we're going to get a better Gleyber, but seeing how he's been playing this year, I wanted to extend Gleyber, but at this point, I'll be the first one in line telling the Yankees not to extend Gleyber. Not because I don't like Gleyber I love him as a person. He served well for us as a Yankee in certain seasons, but there's times where you just got to cut bait. You know, you got to remove the emotions out of it. And I love Gleyber as a person, as a Yankee, but yeah, we just gotta. Just sometimes you just gotta move on. And I may be eating my words. Gleyber may go on a crazy tear in the second half that will help us get to the postseason and help us secure an AL East title and help us get through the playoffs. And I'll be eating up all my words, and I hope I'm right. But right now, I'll be the first one saying not to extend Gleyber. And if you liked today's episode, please make sure you subscribe down below. It'll truly mean the world. Check out what YouTube suggests will be a great video for you. And also, The Martian wants you to subscribe. Judge wants you to subscribe. So make sure you do. And until next time, peace and be blessed.